Hey guys, today I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about a subject related to yesterday's topic, which was the layoffs. And I mentioned in that video that I was laid off about 2 years ago. I kind of wanted to go over some of the things that I did after getting laid off that really helped me out, that could hopefully help you out as well if you're going through the same thing. So a little backstory, I did get laid off about 2 years ago in 2023, and it was the first time I've ever gotten laid off, so it was something that I really didn't anticipate or know how to deal with. So I kind of just had to figure it out. I guess this is a video of what I did when I got laid off, but also advice of what I would have given myself if I knew back then what I knew now. So the first thing that I wish I actually did more of is to give myself more time to process. I think after an event such as a layoff, it's natural for us to constantly be thinking of what the next steps are, thinking about the future, but I also think it's super important for us to take a step back and process this event that happened that is traumatizing. You are working at your job one day, giving it your all, and the next, in a blink of an eye, you no longer work there. So it's a lot to digest and to process. For me, I did allow myself time to process and to take a break from work. However, even during that break, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I feel so guilty right now. I should be applying for jobs. I should have income coming in, and I just didn't really fully 100% allow myself that break. I think that's just the way of our mind and body of protecting us and making sure that we're safe by knowing what the next steps are. But in instances like this, it's hard to really plan out because this was an unexpected event, and it's also something that I think we have to give ourselves a lot of time to process. So if you are also going through something like this, I would highly encourage you to take some time off and try really hard not to think about next steps right away. It's really important to take care of your mental health and really take the time to heal yourself before jumping straight into the next thing or rushing into it, because that would only lead to burnout and stress. That leads me to the next thing that I did after I got laid off, which was to take some time off to travel. And if you watch any of my previous videos, you know that I traveled to Asia for a month, and it was actually very healing and very nice for me to just get out of the environment I was in at the time. Just being where I was, it constantly reminded me that, oh, I was just laid off, I'm a failure, and I didn't really know what to do with my life at that point. But traveling to another country and just being in a whole different environment, seeing the people that live there and how they live, it changes your perspective and it really helps you let loose a little bit. For me, I was lucky enough to have the time to travel for a month, and I'm sure a lot of people don't have this luxury or privilege, so I do feel very grateful. And it doesn't have to be anywhere far or international or anything like that. Just getting out of that space that you're in that could be contributing to any negative thoughts or sad feelings about the layoff could really help out. The next thing that I wish I did more of is stop those limiting beliefs that I had of myself. And that's something that I'm still working on to this day, or especially after a layoff. It's hard not to think like, oh, I'm not good enough. Why did I get laid off? Did I not do a good job compared to other people? And there's just all these other negative thoughts going around in your mind, and it's really easy to fall into that. But you have to constantly remind yourself that you got hired for a reason. You were also picked to work at this place out of a lot of people, and so you definitely have the skill set and the capability to do the job, and you put your best foot forward. So I think a lot of us do focus on the negative, but you never think about how many people applied to this job and you were the one out of the many that got chosen. So you have something to provide. You do provide value, and it's hard, but make sure that you are not constantly talking down on yourself and surrounding yourself in these negative emotions. This next one really helped me out, and I got this realization from talking to my therapist, which I, by the way, do highly recommend if you are going through things and need someone to talk to. I used to think that therapy was not helpful, but I think during the time that I got laid off, my therapist really helped talk me through some things. And what she told me was, remember, there is always another job out there for you. It's not about if you're going to get another job, it's just about when. So it's just a matter of time. Eventually, you will find a job. Just because you got laid off from one place doesn't mean that you'll never find a job again. There's always going to be a job out there. It's just a matter of time. It really depends on the timing, the right job, and a lot of different factors. So I know that right after getting laid off, it might seem like the end of the world and that you'll never find a job again because you were laid off, but that's just not true. Regardless of it takes 2 weeks, 6 months, a year, 2 years, like eventually you will find a job. And I think that knowing that provided me a lot of reassurance. It's something that's so simple, but when you're constantly in that negative mindset, it's hard to think in a positive way. And so when she reminded me of that, I felt so much better just knowing that, there are a lot of jobs out there and eventually I will land one. And it will be the same for you as well. I know it seems like a lot of layoffs are happening and it may seem like there's not a lot of opportunities out there, but there definitely is, and you will find the right one that's perfect for you. And similarly to that, I think what the layoff really taught me is to really look for a side hustle or some other way to make income, because these companies don't care about you and you cannot just rely on one source of income. At least the layoff got me to thinking about that, and I'm happy that this is now something that is in the back of my mind. Another thing is that you don't have to just look at jobs in your industry or what your background is. Now is an opportunity to kind of explore what you might have been afraid to explore before. So if you're really interested in photography, for example, this could be the time to explore it. I know I had a friend who was laid off around the same time as I was, and now she and her partner have opened a photography business, and that is their passion. But I think without the layoff, this might not have even happened. So it's definitely one of those things where the layoff resulted in something really good and really positive. And so if you're thinking about doing something different, remember, it's never too late. You can go into so many different industries. If you're interested in the healthcare industry, the food industry, I don't know, there's so many different things out there, and you don't have to stay within tech. With us working in tech for so long, it seems like this is the only path forward. But if you really look at the bigger picture, there are so many different career paths out there, and you have the opportunity now to find one that maybe you are more passionate about or that you like better. I'm not saying that you have to change industries or careers, but it's definitely an option for you. And last but not least, this is one of the most important ones to me, is that I was able to spend more time with my loved ones, with my family and my friends, and it's just time that you'll never get back. So for example, when I was laid off, I was able to go to dim sum with my parents on weekdays, which I never had that time when I was working, or I was able to do a lot of other things with my family that I just always never had the time to do when I was working. And one of the best memories I had was making jongs with my mom and just learning a lot about how she knew how to make these things and her teaching me everything about it. It's just one of those memories that I cherish so much, and without the layoff, that's not something that I think I would have had time for. And so I hope that this video helped you in some sort of way, and I wish you nothing but the best in your journey.